Hello, everyone. Today on Tech AI Solution Podcast, we have a guest with us who's been in this recruitment industry for more than 27 years. So let's welcome to Leslie from AP Professional and let's hear from her what she has to say on this one. Leslie, tell us about you and what do your company do?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on. Well, my name's Leslie, and I am a technical recruiter at AP Professionals, and we're a boutique staffing firm. We have been around over 25 years. We have a few offices. I'm actually based in Arizona. That's where one of our main offices is in Scottsdale. And we specialize in technology staffing and consulting. So, I've been finding talent for 11 years in the technical space for various large enterprises, a lot of healthcare systems, but also some big retailers and pretty much anything IT.
That's nice, Leslie. So you've been in this industry for more than 27 years. So what's the one thing that keeps you like moving in this one? Because a lot of people, the burnout or move on from this particular industry. So what keep you going?
For me, it's just the people. It
Yeah.
really is. Burnout is definitely real, but I really do get pleasure I get to meet new people every day and help them find jobs, and people need help finding jobs right now. And I bring opportunities to people and help make matches with candidates and employers. And I really value the connections I make. I've made many friends in the industry since I started this. And it's really actually the perfect job for me.
Exactly. Your connection with the people is already visible from your connections. You have more than 23,000 connections, I believe, on the in LinkedIn. I was researching about it. That's very fascinating in this industry. You have a hand-on like a connection with a lot of people that you can just pull out and send it over to your client, right? So that's a good thing to have it. So now let's pivot this discussion from your personal to now. Let's go to the industry, right? So AI is flooding the recruitment industry right now. So outreach, AI automated tools. So the other thing, you are known for never ghosting. That's the very beautiful thing. I have a lot. There are not a lot of people achieve that part because you're not able to follow up with every client. You have been follow up with every interviewee. So do you think that personal approach is becoming a competitive advantage or is it becoming harder to sustain with the current AI tools?
Well, that's a great question. Well, for me, it's a personal something that I try to achieve. I never like to leave people unanswered, and that's just like a personal work ethic thing for me. And you're totally correct that we don't always we don't always hear feedback from the clients.
Mm.
Even if we do follow
Mhm.
up, we don't always get the answers. Sometimes we get ghosted from the clients.
Yeah,
And really, our firm we're a boutique firm, and even with the introduction of AI tools, which we are starting to explore, we really rely on ourselves and just finding people on our own. Um, Through some of the connections we already have, we also work with a lot of LinkedIn. I find many people on LinkedIn. And so we're starting to explore AI tools, but I wouldn't say that for us, that is the focus. We don't rely on that to find talent.
that's nice. Because there's a personal touch we already, I think, it's inevitable in this industry that you always need people in between this whole flow. And if we talk about the industry as a whole, what is the past in 10 years, what shift you have seen and like from the 10 years, what exactly the shift you have seen in this industry and where it's going from this point?
That's a fascinating question. I've seen major changes, I would say probably in the last 5 years. Really, COVID affected so
Hmm.
much. It made everybody, first of all, to remote work. And, many companies weren't doing that. So that definitely changed the landscape of, recruiting. And then, a couple, 3 years later, we saw a lot of employers then lay people off in the tech space.
Yeah.
Maybe they overhired to compensate for everything that happened during COVID and all the changes. And so that left a very saturated job market. And on top
Hmm.
of that, not to mention, politics,
Yeah.
economic,
Hmm.
fears, so all of that makes companies not want to pull the trigger very often. And so what it
Hmm.
kind of has turned into is a really, really tight job market that's very competitive. And whereas 5 years ago, candidates could maybe meet 85 percent of their requirements and be considered. There was wiggle room. Now, people really aren't considered unless they check every single box. And that's
Yeah.
what's making it such a tough job market for many people.
Exactly. And I think most of the companies now have their ATS system that is working more effectively, I would say, but not in the positive term for the clients, for the candidates as well. Because before, when you were, I think, 10 years ago, there was a middle person between who's going through every resume and its own capabilities. Based upon its capabilities, it's just keeping the threshold wherever he likes or she likes. Now the AI is in the part of it. So it's up to AI how if somebody is so talented but he's not able to put it in the words and resume, it will not be able to capture that. So I think that's where the industry right now in this jinx, like they will not be able to. The ATS is doing its part, but it's not human involvement in it. So do you think this we need the people in between the client and the candidate, right?
I totally agree. And I did say earlier that we don't rely on AI to find people, but we certainly do
Mm,
use it as a tool to help us, review resumes, evaluate resumes, find the gaps, and see how we can help people adjust. Because people sometimes don't know to share certain things in their resume, and they
mm,
might have the experience. So, but I do think that AI is also does a lot of things where AI hallucinates, right? So
yeah.
sometimes you really have to sift through these resumes and wonder, is this a real person? Did they write this resume? Is this
Hmm.
experience real? So it actually causes us to vet them, maybe 5 times harder. So that's another issue that has arose from the AI, something that we're
Yeah.
combating.
Exactly. And another question that comes into my mind while applying this was question came from my friend, and he was saying that while applying for any job, there is an option that would you like to opt for any AI like optimization in between, like AI will pick up your resume and will shortlist if you are the candidate, right? So what do you recommend to those candidates? Should they opt in for that AI evaluation or not while filling out the form?
Ooh, that's tough. I personally feel that candidates need to be a little more. I think it's a great tool to maybe use their own AI tool and
Yeah.
match their resume up to whatever job they're applying to and really try
Mm-hmm.
to tweak it first before using an AI evaluation tool that's at a corporation,
Okay.
where there could be some bias or something like that. Yeah, that's what I think they should do. I don't think it's
Okay.
harmful to use it, but I think that they need to do their own work first before using that.
Okay, I agree with that. So you've been in the industry, you are working with IT professionals for like Fortune 100 companies, right? And the major hospital systems. So what are the client asking for you right now? Like in the past, what is the one thing that they have put in the description that was not existed like 2 years ago? So what is the one thing they have changed?
Well, I'm definitely seeing a lot more technical
Yeah.
AI positions available. So I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. One of my
Yeah,
healthcare
that's good.
clients, they look for AI engineers that are very, very strong technical people who understand all the different models, who understand the different techniques and tools out there for building LLM applications such as LangChain. So basically, they're looking for people that have actually put AI applications into production and know how
Oh.
to test AI versus
Mm-hmm.
understanding, making a proof of concept and having general knowledge. They really need people who really, really get AI and
Yeah.
understand how it works and understand the architecture.
Okay.
So I'm starting to see that emerge
Mhm.
as one of the skills. And also, I've also seen vibe coding. That's been coming up a lot.
Yeah, that's new thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the company asking for people who do actually the vibe coding? Is this in a demand right now?
I've had it as a requirement in a couple positions. So for
Wow.
instance, one of the roles I filled recently was for a digital product designer, like a UI
Hmm.
UX designer, and they
Okay.
wanted a UI UX designer who did have the experience, but also had some experience with vibe coding. And
Okay.
and this was because they are developing AI applications in the healthcare system for providers, physicians. And so, but there's, of course, many risks that go along with AI, thinking about security. Is
Hmm.
the information accurate? Have they tested it enough? So there's still quite a lot
Oh,
of, and are they ethically, are they using it responsibly? So there's just so
exactly.
much to learn.
There is so much aspects that has been added with this AI, like a lot of moving arms now that we need to be taken care in this industry. So definitely. So from where you sit, what is the biggest hiring mistake consulting firms or technology companies do keep making over and over, and what do you suggest to them?
That's a good question. The biggest hiring mistake that companies make?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. maybe not using firms like ours. I'm just kidding in a
That's a
way,
good
but
answer. Yeah.
I only say that because a lot of companies have, corporate recruiters, which is great. But, maybe
Mhm.
in a time where technology really matters, being able to lean on more people that are specialized in finding technical people that know to ask those questions and save them all the time and money from looking on their own. I would probably say that. And uh, I don't know. I wish that some of them would be a little more open minded on the requirements
Okay.
because I do think that there are many people that have a great skill set that are good, candidates, but maybe they don't check every box, and it's sad that they cannot be considered. So I do think that I'm trying to figure it out, but I do think that there are broken processes in the system.
That's nice advice to give to those companies, right? So we talked about the automation at the starting, right? So let me go back to that part again. So if a recruiter comes to you and say that I want to use AI like to handle my all candidate follow-ups, so what would you tell them? So actually, the question is, where is the line between the helpful automation and losing the relationship?
Exactly. Well, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to use it as a tool for follow up for certain
Mm-hmm.
touch points, right?
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's a very personalized sounding communication piece. But I mean, phone calls also have to follow up with an email, right? So, I mean,
Exactly.
that's where the human touch comes in. But I don't see any harm in using an AI tool in fact, it could even help increase communications because it could help stop people from falling through the cracks of the system as well. Maybe that's
Yeah.
why so many people get ghosted.
Exactly. Sometimes you're not able to follow up with all the clients or all the candidates, right? The tool is taken care of. It will take care of all the clients in the long run, right? That's an easy job. That for my personal experience that know that it's a lot. Time is the money, right? If you're assigning some of the work for the automation, you have a lot of time to focus on the efficiency for your own and for your company in the long run. So definitely, I'm on that side of the part story where I'm like skeptic side of the AI SDR and all the follow up automations. So now we're talking about this one. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, you just kind of brought me to an interesting topic I've heard from some candidates where they've actually started hearing from AI recruiters. Have you heard of
Mm.
that?
Wow. The AI recruiters are actually the counterpart of you. Yeah.
The AI version of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So, and what I've heard, and it just kind of reminds me of this topic, but so far what I've heard from those types of candidates is just almost a fear or a disgust of this fake being calling them, and there's no personal connection. And
Yeah.
people need human connection. While I think it's a nice tool to use, I think it needs to be followed up with human communication.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a lot of discussion going on this debate, whether we need the human intervention at the AI at this point of time. And definitely we need the AI, a human touch between two AIs for sure. If they are the two AIs are talk to each other automatically, then we are at the jeopardized situation. We are not going to the better future for this one. So, if in 5 years, where do you think that this IT recruitment industry is going to? Like, as we just talked about, is it still human recruiter relevant? And let's talk about only just the 5 years. What do you say? Where do you see this industry going in 5 years?
Think that AI is going to continue evolving, but I think at the end of the day, it will maybe flatten out in a few years where, when we think about Y2K, right? And everybody was so scared of what's going to happen when the year 2000 comes and what's going to happen in all of our
Yeah.
technology and then it was
Mm,
really nothing, and every time there's a big, initiative like the cloud, people get on board. It's scary, but then in a few years, it's more accepted. People are more
hmm.
educated. They start to
Yeah.
understand the risks. And so I think that will also kind of happen with AI, where I think it will turn into a tool that most companies will use to enhance their processes, but hopefully not replace them.
Yeah. I was thinking about this one. That's the most diligent answer I have ever heard from anybody actually. I've been listening to the Anthropics and the NVIDIA's CEOs discussions, but they never talked about this part, like positive part of it. Everybody talks about the negative part of the AI, like all the jobs will be gone and everything. But I think more and more people came to know about this. They more will become prudent in this approach. They will learn about this technology and they will gonna use it in their daily to day, daily basis. definitely it will improve the efficiency of everybody. And in the long run, it will also create a new jobs in the market. So if we talk about the new jobs in the market, what are the jobs that you have seen, you haven't seen so far in like 2, 3 years ago now, it's been emerging and people are actually coming in a lot for you to get those people in one, and how you are going to find those kind of a people. Tell me your approach from both, like what kind of the new requirements you're getting from your client and how you're searching for the candidates for those one which were never existed before.
Whoa, that's interesting. I think I started seeing machine learning engineers start emerging
Hmm.
around 5 years ago. And, now we're still seeing that. As far as new positions, I haven't necessarily seen new positions unless they are for like, they're always, there's nothing that's AI centric. It's usually just a few other requirements are around AI. Everybody
Hmm.
knows that there's not much talent in the market that are experts in AI, right? But they
Hmm.
want people who understand it and maybe have been certified or have gotten educational training in it, built or have projects that they've built using Lovable or Hugging Face or some of the tools that are
Hmm.
out there. So, as far as requirements, I do see some things around AI in terms of, for instance, we see it in cybersecurity, big hot topic in cybersecurity right now. And how do we create policies around AI? And we don't want people
Yeah,
plugging
that's the
things into their
biggest thing.
computers or putting their
Exactly.
company information into their own chat GPTs. So how do we manage all that? So I think
Uh,
I see a lot of things around that. Healthcare. In terms of requirements, that's what I am starting to see. And then my approach
yeah.
is not changed. It's not changed from my approach has ever been. It's all
Okay.
about understanding the requirements,
Hmm.
understanding technology, which takes a while to learn. And then, I have a natural kind of intuition of understanding if someone's a fit because I've been doing this 11 years. But, people that have been
Yeah.
doing data engineering, working in data
Hmm.
analytics, data science, that type of talent, just really staying connected to them.
I think mostly you will be LinkedIn is the platform mostly where you hunt for these kind of positions, right? Or are there any other tool that you use on the daily basis?
I also use Indeed quite often too.
Okay.
Indeed. I also look for people on Dice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would say that those are the three main places. I know there's other tools out there, but that's what I use.
Okay. Now, on the last question. So after this, we will be done. So if you have a magic wand and if you want to eliminate a pain point in the industry that you're currently working in, what would be that and how would you eliminate that?
Fraudulent software engineers.
Wow. You-
Actually, because AI, we're also seeing a lot of fraud, fake resumes, fake
exactly.
profiles.
Uh,
One of our clients actually, and this is happens a lot in software engineering, particularly where they're
mhm.
interviewing people, they're wearing headphones, someone's
Exactly.
talking to them, or they're
Mhm.
using another computer, looking up stuff through AI. They're cheating, and
Mhm.
sometimes they're not always, but now it's caused kind of a fear. So, like, I'll give you an example. One of my clients encounters this often, and because of that, we
Mhm.
have to take a picture of the candidate during every step of the screening process. It has to match up
Okay.
with the driver's license, has to match up
Wow.
with the video interview, and it's insane.
Yeah.
And we have to sift through a lot of that. I get a lot of resumes that look outstanding, and I'll call them, and it's clear that Michael Brown is not Michael Brown, as an example, or
Exactly.
it's just, and how do you really know if these people are genuine? And that has really emerged from AI. I mean, in this AI age, I'm still trying to
Mhm.
figure that out too, like where this is coming from. But I'm sure that it could be somehow related. I don't know.
Yeah, I've also heard about this one. Like are some tools and even the apps are available. Like the people are using it while in the real time while giving the interview, they're getting the answer from that particular machine and they're just repeating whatever it is on that machine. And it's hard to find that in the front. And along with that, I think if there are fraudulent possible with this AI, there is also another part of it. We can catch those one with these kind of frauds, but it needs time to evaluate exactly how we can catch that.
And as recruiters, we have to think of trick questions now. Or,
Exactly.
I actually just completed an 8-week certification in AI myself. So now I
Okay.
know what kind of questions I can ask because I know a little bit more about AI. So now I think it's more about really asking tricky, clever screening questions where you can
Well,
sniff things out more quickly.
That's very smart of you, Sir Leslie. Yeah. So you need to get these kind of things in order to get the right candidate for your client.
Well, that and right, and you don't want to hire people that don't really know what they're doing and they're relying on AI to build solutions when maybe how do they know that it's even correct?
Exactly. You need to be that smart, right? In order to even cheat from these kind of things. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for already coming onto this podcast and thank you for showing us your expertise in this.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was fun talking about these different topics.